Thank you for joining today. We have a guest, Miss Inela Benz. She is here, as millions of others are, to raise the level of vibration of the planet. This has evolved assisting light workers and light warriors in their path, as well as exploring and investigating what the dark side is doing. She has developed and investigated tools and practices which are quick and effective in raising the awareness and vibrations of individuals and the planet. She came here knowing what she had to do, but like many of us, she just wasn't sure how to do it. At first, she didn't even know the vocabulary to express what we need to do here. She knew that the world and its people had to buzz better and happier. Her journey was not without mistakes, defeats, dangers, and injuries, but she says it's all been worth it. On January 2010, she received a request from Source to go public. She's done this. Her website is amazing, and I strongly suggest everybody go explore it. It's loaded with many tools for raising your vibration, as well as lots of good information. Her website is Ascension101.com. And now, Miss Inela Benz, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kimberli. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to have you. It is so amazing to have you, by the way. Thank you for your time. I want to jump right in, and I don't want to waste too much time. And I want to talk about your website, Ascension 101. And the one thing on your website I think is the most important thing that everyone should do is the fear exercise, or the fear release exercise. Yes. Could you describe that a little bit for us?
Yes. This is definitely the most effective way to raise one's vibration, and it's really very simple. The full text for the exercise is on the Tools tab on the menu, and you can download it, you can print it out and use it, record it yourself, or there's also an option to download an audio for it. It's very simple. Basically, the fear vibration is the lowest denominational vibration on the planet. It's the lowest vibration we can have. And it's not natural, it's not native to us as humans. And so the way that it has been used and it's been amplified on the planet is basically to keep us asleep, because the veil of forgetfulness, or the veil of sleepiness that's blanketing the planet, is basically low vibration, and the main low vibration obviously will be fear. So for an individual to process their own fear, it's really quite simple. You think of something that you're afraid of, and then you scan your physical and your subtle bodies to see, okay, where are you? Where's this fear lodged?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And then you find it, and you don't judge it. You don't try to work out where it came from. You don't try to analyze it in any way. You simply look at it and allow it to be there. You welcome it. You allow it to grow, to become as big as possible. See if you can make it as big as the planet. Because basically, fear, it's like a red flag. It's a way of, something that wants to be looked at. But the reasons behind it could be completely logical, or from previous lifetimes, or simply could be artificial, actually, something that's being broadcast by the powers that were. And we simply look at it and welcome it and allow it to exist, and then we infuse it with light and love and embrace it. We embrace it back into us, into love, transform it back. Because basically what it is an enslaved energy construct that's in our field, in our body. So we free it. We allow it to return to source, to what we are basically. And then as we start removing our fears from our physical and subtle bodies, immediately the average vibration that we have will raise, because the lowest ones are being removed. So it's very simple.
Well, one thing that I think is so ingenious about it, when I first did your fear exercise, you're not attacking it. You're not confronting it, because that what you resist persists. You are basically recycling it. And that is ingenious, by the way.
Yes,
and so I'm gonna. It's very ingenious, and so I did the fear exercise, and you know, I thought I was pretty clear, by the way, because these are things that I work on a regular basis and have for 20 plus years. I'm not new to this game, so to speak, and I found a little black spot when I scanned, and I was like, well, what are you, and what are you doing here? How are you doing? But fear is the lowest vibration, and love is one of the higher vibrations. And I agree with you that there's this manifested construct of fear. We should have fear if there's imminent danger, and even then you should keep a clear head instead of going into fear. And I've told people, there's really no reason to have fear. Even if someone has a loaded gun to your head, fear is not going to do any good.
Exactly.
And that would be about the only time to even think about having fear. But even then, you should keep your head clear. There's nothing to fear. There's no such thing as death, really.
Right.
And so then you talk about on your website, and I want to get into this, and I really want to get into this, that when you clear yourself, that you're doing this for the whole planet. You're raising the vibration of the whole planet.
Exactly.
Could you expand on that?
Yes. Each individual, all of us as individual people, or singularities as I like to call us, we are part of a greater collective, which is the human collective and also the planetary collective. And it goes beyond. We're part of many other collectives as well. And as each person clears their fears and raises their personal vibration, they are also increasing or making the vibration of the collective that bit higher. So if you have one person doing it, it raises that tiny little bit, and then two people will raise it more, 3 people more. You're going to thousands of individuals all processing their fears and all raising the personal vibration, and you get a really big punch on the collective there to get it vibrating that much higher. And the results are all around us. There's 2 main aspects to the raising of the vibration of the planet. Gaia, as a planet, as a being, as a sentient being, has already gone beyond the dual existence. What we are witnessing now is the human creation of what we agree upon as a reality. But the vibration is already shifted at a planetary level, and the reason being that it was a choice by Gaia and the collective to have a new experience of existence. And this can happen while it goes through this very high vibrational and very interesting parts of the galaxy that we have been moving into, and we haven't reached the center yet, but we have been moving into gradually for the last few decades. And as that happens, the vibration of the planet obviously raised, and it woke up, I think, August 2010. And then the collective humans can also have that opportunity, also have that choice individually, singularly, and as a collective, as a species, we have that choice to go and experience a new reality. Of course, those who have a lot of investment in having a dual reality have done everything in their power to keep humans asleep so that they don't make that conscious choice, right? And
right.
So that's been happening. But even though that's been happening, so many souls have incarnated into the collective the past few decades that have a very high vibration from other dimensions, from other planets, from the future, from who have already completed their journey here, but they came back. All these people have incarnated here, millions actually, in order to raise the vibration to counteract that artificial low vibration which the powers that were have been so busy trying to keep on the planet as a collective so that humans don't make the jump. And the results are everywhere. There has never been so much light on the planet as there is now. Of course, if you watch the news, they're trying to make it look like it's all dark and horrible. But
Right.
there's proof out there. If you do a search on the internet, there's millions and millions of websites of light workers giving information and telling them and their tools and offerings. There has never been so many before that's so accessible. And also, there was this video that I watched that this person just listed the names of all the groups and organizations that were doing things to help the planet or help humanity. And it went on and on and on and on. I think he counted up to 1 million or something. And it could have gone on, but it was so long that it stopped, right? But again, people are getting together just like everywhere at a neighborhood level to clean the parks, at a national level to do this or that or the other, to clean the environment or to help each other. And again, humans are really reacting to that. Another way to see this proof is, for example, terms such as karma, chakras, manifestation, reincarnation. Those terms a couple of decades ago were just being used by those individuals who were in a spiritual path. But nowadays, they're everywhere. They're in the supermarket. You hear people talk about it. They're all over the media. It's just everywhere, and that shows that the awakening is happening, even if it's a tiny little bit. It might not go all the way, somebody wanting to become enlightened immediately, but it's something that somebody questioning, maybe reincarnation does exist, or maybe I'll look into it.
Exactly.
And even if they decide it's not real, they looked into it,
Exactly. Well, so many people are starting to experience the synchronicity. They're starting to understand this intuition. When before, these were things that even if you had intuition, you didn't discuss it. Or you discussed it behind closed doors. Now, you can openly say, no, I just know. We don't go left. We need to go right. Trust me. And,
exactly.
and there's more of an acceptance. And, I think my third eye is blocked, and people now know what a third eye is.
Exactly,
you're not speaking Greek anymore. And so, yes, the vibrational pattern language is very, very, very important to the whole construct. And I think that's one reason why, we talk about, what you were talking about with the TV and the influence. Language is a very important mathematical part of the reality that we experience. So by these terms and words entering into our language and our everyday language, we are actually changing the program from the inside out.
Yes, yes.
Now, you said Gaia had already gone through the shift, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that happened
Go ahead.
2010 in August. I think it was between June and August, 2010. Definitely in June there was an awakening and an energy of coming online consciously by Gaia. While before she was kind of asleep or absent or not there, allowing everything to happen through the will of humans, right? But when she came online, things changed because she did a couple of things. One of them was to raise the environmental vibrational level to very high degrees. And now you don't even have to go to PowerPoints on the planet to really connect with Gaia and really feel her energy. You can do it in your yard, right? And so that was one of the things that happened. The other was the bringing back of power, and power is chi and the ability to do, to the female section of the human collective. Females and males are wired differently, and they have different roles in this duality of two sexes. And obviously a person can be born as either, and many people have been born as one or the other many times. And the idea basically is to bring a balance within each individual of their feminine and their masculine energies. But the first step was to really amp the role and the ability of the female at a global level, so that the females then took a step forward and stood in their power, and then everybody else, or even those females who were not awake, were able to then tap into that energy or that structure. Basically, it's about power, and people have, so a lot of people have charge over the word power, and that's because the patriarchal society and the paradigm which we are leaving, and we have been leaving, has used power over others. So that's why it has so much charge. But power is simply chi and the ability to do. How we use it is up to us individually. It doesn't really have, it's not a negative thing, it's not a positive thing, it's just it. And
right.
So females are power, and that's why males have always tried to own them and use them, and because they want to own that power. And males are the heart center, their structure. When you have a completely balanced male-female configuration, you have power within yourself. You have power coming in from source, and you become that power. And you have the heart center, which is your masculine aspect as a structure to wield that power, to use it and to experience it. And once you have both extremely balanced and healthy, there's no limits to what you can do, basically.
That's interesting what you say about the patriarchal society and owning the women. Women are finally starting to be free to have their power in some areas of the world. And you talked about the ley lines as well, or the power grids. And, I want to explore both topics. I want to start with the power grids of the earth. Lucia kind of went into that in her book, and I've worked with that for quite a long time. And I know the Schumann resonance frequency is involved in this. Are the grids themselves literally coming alive? Can we influence them? Do you believe we can influence them?
Yes,
do you understand what I'm saying?
As a species, we are extremely powerful. Each of us is like an enormously unlimited battery of power, each person on the planet. And that's why the powers that were trying to stop us from knowing that, because at the moment, they've been using that power. Everybody who's asleep out there is basically being used by the powers that were using that person's power. I mean, the power doesn't change. It's just who's using it, who's wielding that power that changes when you wake up, right? It still stays the same. Now, we can, as a species, and even as a group, or even as an individual, we can we can create the environment that we want. And this is there's recorded cases of people, for example, these people who can bring rain to places that have had huge droughts, for example. We know about them, I can't remember their name, rain dancers or something. And so they bring, it's just that we can actually affect our environment at a very direct level. We dictate what happens in our environment. And it's basically...
Our environment is the reality. And
our reality.
The actuality is our power. And what we manifest with our thoughts becomes our reality.
Yes, it's actually not the thoughts. Funnily enough, the thoughts is just a way of focusing what we want, but it's actually our physical and our emotional bodies which do the work. That's where the power lies, our physical and emotional bodies. And that's why it's so important to clear them too.
And that may be why the powers that used to be, as you say, work so hard to keep women emotionally off balance.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go slide over to what you were talking about with the patriarchal society, and I have one question that's kind of, different. I believe in reincarnation, and I've looked at a lot of my past lives, and I've been male more than I've been female in my past lives.
Mm-hmm.
What are we in? Our singularity. Are we a female? Are we a male? Or are we both with different sides?
Well, I would say we're neither.
Okay.
The male-female construct is just that. It's a construct to be able to experience different realities, as it were. And also it was designed into the species for practical levels, like the procreation of the species. It's easier to have that configuration at a dense level. But basically, the soul really is neither female or male, and it does. For the past few thousands or millions of years, we've decided to have certain experiences here on this planet, and we came in and we chose which one we wanted to be at each lifetime, and we continued there. Now, if a person really feels that they're female as a soul, and or male as a soul, then it means that they're still identifying or giving importance to one over the other, right? And that's something that each individual can process themselves. And if the person really wants to continue with that identity, then it means they haven't finished doing whatever it is, learning or work that they're doing with that identity of male or female. Right. There's also another little thing that comes in here. When a person still is very much in a male or female configuration, they will often think that there's another soul out there that completes them, that they have the twin soul or something like that. There's the original soul that was split in two, and one became male and the other one became female. And they've been traveling through incarnation after incarnation, learning together, and sometimes not even meeting each other, and sometimes being enemies, but always learning and growing roughly at the same rate. And if we think about it, or if you go beyond that, really, honestly, everybody who's alive today is all one being. We are all one being having multiple experiences. So when a person still hasn't gone through the importance of being either male or female, they haven't lived everything that they need to live and experienced everything they need to experience, yes, there will probably be another soul out there who joins them, right? Who complements them as the opposite, the other identity, and eventually the thought is that they will merge into one, and that's also likely because it's not a physical joining or energetic joining. It's just once their awareness moves past the importance of being male and female, and they become complete, they will see that yes, all those lifetimes they were one person.
That's very interesting. We have a lot of chat going on in the chat room, by the way. I just want you to know. And I'm going to add later in the show, is it okay if we take callers?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I can let the people know that are chatting. Y'all can call in and ask your questions, and I'm not going to try to relay what people are saying in the chat room. I mean, it's an interesting chat room going on. I know you can't see it right now, and we have a lot of people listening and a lot of people enjoying the show, by the way.
Very good.
And now I have like the $1 bazillion question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have heard so many people give their take on this that I've almost just wanted to walk away from it. Okay, because it seems to be everybody has their own idea and their own construct and their own absolutes to this question. So I'm going to ask you what your opinion is on it. What is ascension?
Oh, mine is very simple.
Good.
Ascension is simply the expansion of awareness, right? That's it. As we expand our awareness, that's what it is. And how do we do it? We raise our vibrational level, our base level. And there's like a little example that I give. Somebody who's a very low vibration, who's infused in fear and desperation, somebody who's in a depression, a very, very severe depression, has a very short, very narrow awareness field. They cannot see beyond themselves. They cannot see past the blackness of the pit they're in.
Right.
As soon as they move or their vibration raises a little bit, they start breathing and looking around them. Then maybe then they will see their immediate environment, their house, for example, and it'll be a mess normally. And then they will look at it and see it and start fixing it up. And then they will step out of their front door and they will go into the stores or, look at and see others. And eventually they start communicating with others. When we communicate with others, we're expanding our awareness to include those others. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be at that point something healthy. It could be very unhealthy because they're still in a very low vibration. But their awareness has expanded, right? And then eventually they go into contentment, and then happiness, and then joy, and then they want to move forward, and they go into enlightenment, and then oneness, So yeah, ascension is basically an expansion of awareness.
Well, that's a very simple answer. And thank you for that. By the way.
You're welcome.
I have a few more questions, and let's see. What do you think is the most important thing for us as humans on this planet at this time to focus on right now?
Right now, the most important thing that we need to do as individuals, because we only have a few months left before the whole thing gels into place, is to raise our personal vibration and also focus on other things and raise their vibration too. Not through judgment, not through sense of worth or unworthiness, but simply processing our fears, processing the fears of the collective, and infusing everything, stepping out of the way, and allowing light and love to come in directly from source, using us as a conduit, and allowing that to spread into the environment. The thing that has come in the past few days, actually, also, is another method to raise your personal vibration, but it's not exclusive, or it's not, you really should, or it's really most effective if you use both, processing your fear and this other one. And this other one is basically to ask your higher self to incarnate into your present physical body. Now, that brings in a lot of charge normally, right?
Oh, wow.
And that, yeah, it's brand new. It just came in. As we do this, obviously we'll have all sorts of stuff that comes up at our physical level, our mental level, our ego. Our ego is going to go screaming, going, "Nah, don't do it." Right. But it's about processing those things that come up and allowing yourself, that higher self, to incarnate into your physical body a little bit every day, a little bit more every day, or every second, or if you can do it instantly, do it, And that's what came through. It's really amazing. It really surprised me, and I thought, whoa, this is awesome.
I just, while you're talking about it, I said words, and I feel a huge shift going on right now as I'm talking to you. By the way, that is big.
It is, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, that is big. On our path of ascension, do you feel that maybe we're on our last go around on Gaia as things are now?
As things are now, definitely, Gaia has moved on to another experience of reality, and she's requesting. She's not angry. I mean, people say, "Oh, Gaia is really angry. She's suffering." Blah blah. She's not, because she's beyond judgment. She's beyond those lower emotions. All she's doing is waiting for us, each individual, to make that choice to go with her and have that experience of empowerment. It's power over self, power of self. There was power over others, or there was service for others, service of self, and this is power of self. And that's where she's going, or she is at, and she's waiting for us to join her. And those who don't really want to go there, either because they have a lot of investment in power over others, or a lot of investment of being a bodhisattva, for example, service for others, in which case you need people to be asleep or in trouble in order to help them. Then those people can move on. They will be moving on to another reality. Now, that can happen overnight. Yes, it can. It would smash a lot of reality in a lot of people, or it can be done in baby steps, and that hasn't been decided yet. Whether we do it within the next 2-3 generations, gradually moving everybody who, as they die their natural death, they move on to the other reality, and we stay here in this one, or whether it happens overnight, or or that date that we've been given, or close to it, or sometime in this year or next year, or whether it happens between now and 2017, it's all really not decided. It's basically, I do believe it's something that each individual is going to experience differently. I know of many individuals already who have made the jump, and they shift and move and create and manifest at will, right? And I know others who are just waking up. Sorry.
I noticed that the manifestation, and you say since 2010, and it's interesting the shifts that happened on the planet at the time that you were talking about, just the physical changes to the planet. I mean, that rings so many bells and rings so true. And what has happened in manifestation, used to you would think and meditate and say the correct words and use your vocabulary and use your thoughts, and within 5 or 6 months, maybe a year, you would see things manifest and it would be beautiful. Now you think it, and it's almost like an immediate and rapid change, like you're a genie blinking your eyes. The manifestation it's just immediate. You have to be so conscious and aware of your thoughts and your emotions and your words now, if you're someone who is in that vibration.
Exactly.
I mean, it's almost stricter because you can't slip a little because you manifest that fast. You don't have time to go back and go, oh, I didn't mean to think that. No. Oh. Yeah. So this is, I'm going to go back to what you were saying about some people will move to a different reality construct, and some of us will say in this reality construct. So this is we are at pass-fail. We're at final exams, either we're at the playoffs. Either you go on or you go home. There's no maybes.
No maybes, no gray areas.
I was looking at some of the things on your website, Ascension 101, which I just want to tell everybody on the call, please go check that out. It's a beautiful website, Ascension 101. And I think I was listening to one of your speeches, and you said something about mean people. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said about something about people.
Mean people. It's what you had to say about people who are mean and angry.
Oh, yeah. I don't recall the actual video you're talking about or interview. However, the problem with people which we can talk about the elite or the powers that were, or the really mean neighbor that you have next door or whatever. These are people who are manifesting that type of energy are basically in a lot of fear and in a lot of suffering. And I mean, happy people don't hurt others, right? That's a given. And
right.
That's where it's coming from. So engaging them at their level by either defending ourselves or by counterattacking or by any level that they're at, it's really counterproductive because we're empowering that energy, we're adding to it. However, if you you process all the stuff that comes up within you. For example, if somebody smacks you on the face or whatever, you're going to get angry. And I'm sorry about that. I forgot to switch.
It's okay. It's okay.
So basically, when you join at an emotional level within that energy, you're empowering that whole construct. So the first thing you do is process it. Obviously, if you're in personal danger, you move out of that danger. The first thing is we stop them. How do we stop them? We tell them, no, I don't agree with that. You either run away, walk away, or if you're in your environment, you move them out of your environment, right? You always have the power to do this. Now, when we're talking about people who are creating wars and things like that, you first of all look at that situation, you process every energy that comes up. When you look at it, all the anger, the projection of victim onto those victims. And when we think of a victim, we're actually thickening the jail of the cycle of victim-aggressor, right? Because we're projecting victim into that person. We're empowering that victimhood. And what we really need to do is basically process all those energies within us. That's where our power lies, within us. And then we send them light and love. And we can send them words too. We can send them and say to them, you're a divine, unlimited being, and you're free to choose to leave that cycle of victim-aggressor now. And if you choose not to leave it, you will have to go and experience it elsewhere, because I don't want you in my reality. Now, when we think about that sentence, it's very easy to say, sending light and love and telling the person that they're a divine being when we're talking to the victim. And it's harder to say it to the aggressor. And then when we say, you're not welcome to have that experience in my reality, so you have to move on, it's easier to say it to the aggressor than the victim. So that's where our own duality programs come in. And we really have to move past that. When those difficulties or those feelings come up, we go right in and look at them and do the same as the fear processing. We look at them, we welcome them, we allow them to exist and grow, and then we infuse them with light and love and embrace them, right?
Okay. Well, I've always looked at it when someone is the victim. This is kind of like a test. Are you going to drop down to the lower vibrations and get angry and muddy and dirty? Or are you going to love, forgive, and get over it? And so, for the victim, it's their test. For the aggressor, on some level, some spiritual level, they agreed to come in and be the bad guy, to deliver that test.
Actually, that's another trap. That's another trap, making the bad guys good. It's part of the chain that they're both in, basically. There has been an agreement, definitely, to experience that. But that agreement of that cycle, it's not about one playing the baddie and one playing the victim. It's really at an unconscious level, and it's not really the aggressor doing a good thing by being the aggressor. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding behind that concept, because this also comes in you come in of the my suffering taught me so much, so I will continue to suffer so I can learn more. Do you see the trap there? And suffering is the holding on of pain. And
but you can
the aggressor-victim cycle. sorry, go ahead.
You can just decide to let it go. That you don't
exactly.
need that.
Right. So the new paradigm that we're shifting, we're already there. It's just that we're shifting slowly into it. Doesn't have space or time for suffering or victim-aggressor cycles. It's gone beyond that. Because to have a victim-aggressor cycle, you have to be asleep, right? You have to have the concept of somebody having power over another, and that's not going to function. It's impossible to have that when you have an awakened person. So that's not going to be compatible any longer. But if a person really feels they haven't finished their learning with the cycles of victim-aggressor, those are the individuals who will have to reincarnate or move into another planet, another incarnation, another reality where that level of duality still exists. But they won't be able to do it here. It's just no longer compatible.
Okay. Well, I think, I had my list of questions, and I've worked through them, and we have a bunch of callers. Are you okay taking some callers?
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick 30-second commercial, so you have a chance to take a sip of water. Any of the callers on the line who want to speak to Anela Benz, please just press *6 on your phone, and you'll be queued up, and I'll know who wants to ask questions. And we don't accept mean people in our reality.
Are you bothered by ghosts, ghouls, spirits? Are they being foolish and irritating you? Looking to thin the veil for your spirit guides to come through? Or better ghost hunts? Try Ghoul Be Gone, the latest in paranormal pest control. This mystic mist has herbs, metals, minerals, and a powerful blessing to send those poltergeists packing, and is loved by many ghost hunting societies. Get yours today at ghoulbegone.com.
Okay. Anela? Anela?
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, surprisingly enough, nobody queued themselves up to talk, which we have a bunch of callers on and a bunch of chat going on. So I'm going to kind of go back to the chat room. They were talking about service to self and service to others, and someone wanted me to ask you just one thing. In the service to self, service to others. How do you feel about manifesting with oneness consciousness?
I don't see the relationship between manifesting the oneness consciousness and service to self or service to others. They're not really compatible one with each other. Now, when we talk about mean people, or we're talking about the cycles of victim-aggressor and service over self or service for others, there is no judgment there. They're all honorable paths of evolution. Now, we can fall into the trap of thinking, but our way is better, right? We don't want to go there anymore. And either way, whether it's service to others or service to self, or right, I'm done with that, and now I want to move on to a different experience. There can be a sense of ours is better than the other. And it's important to move away from that judgment of which one's better, because they're all honorable paths, right? And I've often said, if, personally speaking, for this singularity called Inelia Benz, I'm here with I was created for a very specific role, a very specific job to raise the vibrational level of the planet. And that's what I've been working on, and that's really basically my entire life. Everything else is quite irrelevant. There's no importance attached to self. It's no importance attached to my singular construct as Inelia Benz. And then I've lost my line of thought there. What was I talking about?
Well, we were talking about the service to self and service to others. I'm
that's
sorry,
right.
I deviated my attention a little bit. Apparently, the *6 is not working in the chat room. So I do have people with questions, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the lines one at a time and ask people if they have a question, and we will see how this goes. Is that okay?